Part of what you're doing is actually casting vision. People will sign up with you because you cast good vision, and they will leave you if they don't see that vision for themselves. Hey guys, Christian Jones here with TaxProMarketer. I'm the CEO of TaxProMarketer, and I've got my colleague, our sales director extraordinaire, Noah Jenks, with me here today as well. So today is how to convert your TPM leads, your TaxProMarketer leads, TPM for short. But what this is going to be a bit of tactics in terms of what softwares we put in place to help you guys process leads. We're just going to talk through, I think, from a high level, how leads come into the system, where you can go to find them, and then how to process them. So here's the agenda, right? Where do your leads live? Let's get them scheduled, the flow of a sales call, and some closing tactics.
Yeah, sales, Christian, is an interesting topic. And full transparency, because let's just get everything out in the open. A lot of times sales gets a bad rap because what do people associate with sales? Used car salesman, pushy, trying to get you to buy something you don't need. But really, sales at the end of the day, or I guess beginning of the day rather, is really how do you help someone solve a problem? How do you help identify, hey, this is an area that you need. This is an area that maybe it's not working. Maybe you don't have all the solutions. Maybe you don't have all the knowledge. And how can someone solve that problem for you? And that's what we do here at TaxPro. Marketing is a very intricate, built out, complicated system that requires a lot of maintenance, and it requires a lot of moving pieces being done in conjunction. I mean, that's why we're here. That's why we do what we do. But marketing is only one side of things. We can get you seen all day long. That's, first and foremost. But then the other side of things is that conversation. It's talking with the client. It's, how do you help work with your clients? So when we start talking the psychology of sales, now that kind of goes into a little bit more, well, what's going to get someone to maybe click through to your website? What's going to get someone to notice you? What's going to get someone to say, hey, man, I really think I should maybe do business with this person? We don't really have time to get into all of those different things. But if we really look at this from a bigger picture, sales really is, what is it that this person needs and how can I help solve that problem?
Sales is about casting vision. It's not just about your numbers. It's not just about your packages and pricing. You do want to step into every sales call with a plan. How am I going to pre-qualify this person? How am I going to lead them to the close? How am I going to give them yes and yes options at the end? How am I going to land the plane in a timely way? Like, sales is an art and a science, but it starts with you believing that a part of what you're doing here is actually casting vision for this individual, for this business owner. And as I said earlier, just in case the audio cut out, people will sign up with you because you cast good vision, and they will also leave you if they don't see that vision for themselves. And they'll go to someone who does cast vision. And so one thing that we found with sales, and you could even say just retention and account management, is that one of the biggest factors is whether or not people think you care. And one of the things that will really impact your customer database, please reach out to us and tell us if this has been true for you. People will leave your company and your services not because of your pricing, not because you did a bad job, not because you're not the best, but because of perceived indifference, because they think you don't care. Perceived indifference, that you're just indifferent to them. They're just another name on a spreadsheet or CRM. They don't matter. And so what you want to do with your sales process is create warmth, confidence, and again, cast vision. So if you're not casting vision in your discovery calls, your sales calls, your prospecting calls, if your team members aren't doing this, this is where like call recording becomes really important to do some quality control of people that answer the phone for you. You want to just make sure that your firm is being represented with like a vision or again, a vibe, an atmosphere, a tone, say it however you will, something that creates confidence, clarity, even safety. Because taxes, accounting, helping people in this space, people are confused and they're worried. There can be fear. And your job is to say, hey, I've got you. This is what you need. You can step forward and sign this agreement or sign up with me, spend money with me, and I can do this. Now, this might sound a little bit like hyperbole. Maybe this is a little flowery. Maybe it is a little too much. So don't take this to the nth degree of you're not putting on a Broadway musical here. Okay. That's not what I'm saying you're doing. This is not like a charade of being a guru and creating confidence that isn't matched right with substance on the back end. But what I'm saying is a lot of people in our industry do struggle at times with nailing this, the confidence, the vision, inviting people into kind of a journey. I think that's a part of your sales process that we wanted to name. And I'll let Noah jump on and riff on this too. Before we talked about tactics, having clarity around what the tactics are of what's happening is also important and is a part of what we provide. But I just wanted to name at the beginning that maybe that's the part you need to work on is being very confident or working on your confidence, working on your tone and your positioning so that people feel, gosh, that felt like more than just a call with an accountant. That felt like someone I could really trust. Sales is about creating a feeling. I think that we all could agree on that. Sales is about creating that feeling of confidence. So Noah, back me up or take this a slightly different direction. What do you think about that as an idea?
When we really look at what is it that brings someone to the point where they're going to take the next step to purchase something, it's going to be, it's not just all numbers. It's not just all finances. It's not just all price. It's understanding that you're going to be there for them when they need you. If you're an accountant, if you do tax advisory, it's that they're trusting that they're going to be in good hands, that they're going to be in a safe place. And that's conveyed throughout the entire process. That's conveyed of the way that you approach something and the way that you say something of, well, what do you need us to do? They might not know what they need you to do. That's why you're there. You're the expert. You're the professional. And coming into it with that authority, not wrongly positioned, but it's right authority. You are the expert in this field. When I approach and when I talk to an accounting firm, I know what our services do. I know what we do for our clients. I can be very confident in saying this is what we can do. This is a way that we can provide a solution for you. You're not getting enough leads. Hey, we can help. If you're not ready to take that step, I mean, that's your choice, but like we can help get you from A to Z. If you have gross revenue goals, we can help get you there. But coming into it, even with the tonality, and I mean, this would be getting pretty granular if we we're going to go down this track, but it is something to consider of how are you speaking to your clients? How are you eliciting questions to get them to think about what their problems are? Because a lot of times they don't even know what their problems are. And a lot of times that's why they're talking to you. They need a professional, they need an expert who is going to help them find a good solution.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. So I hope we've opened a little bit of a road that we can walk down with you at another time of, hey guys, can you talk to me more about either tonality, the atmosphere of a sales call, creating confidence? Like that's not what you pay us for if you're a TaxProMarketer client, but would we be glad to talk with you more about that or connect you with people that we really trust who do like full coaching on this? Yes, this is your gateway into a deeper dive. Let's transition into now, where do your leads live? So the rest of our time will be more tactical, just kind of the practical, tactical. This is where to go. And we're going to start with Client Stack. So Client Stack is our CRM, Swiss Army knife software that does a bunch of things for us. We launched it probably 3 or 4 years ago. And it does, I wish I had a bullet point list of everything it does, but let me just riff on some things that Client Stack does for us. You can text your customers and prospects in Client Stack. You can email them kind of directly. It can process payment. It can schedule leads. We'll talk about that a little bit today too. It is a CRM, which includes, of course, tagging, and archive or a history of contact customer relationship. You can get reviews in ClientStack, but it also has a sales pipeline. They call it opportunities, an opportunities pipeline, which is like a Kanban sales pipeline. And Kanban is simply just like columns, right? Different columns. And there's a default version we provide, but this is all customizable to you. Let's just start with when you get a lead from your website, from your pay-per-click ad campaign on Google, your Facebook ad campaign, wherever a lead comes into the play for you, rest assured there's a record and a contact and history, and there's steps that can happen in ClientStack. That's where you want to go. You want to start in ClientStack. That's where leads live. And so I just wanted to name how to get to your pipeline and kind of show you what a pipeline looks like. I think I've got some screenshots here if my slides saved properly. So we'll see what I've got. And if not, maybe I'll pull up a test account of ClientStack and walk you through it while we're live here. I'm fine to do that too. But you want to go to ClientStack, log in, look on the left-hand side, and there's a drop-down menu of different pipelines. And so let me just say, you should have one general sales pipeline. You'll have it from us, right? It's leads from your website. You might want a different pipeline when you get ads. You might want them all to go to the same one, but just live in different columns. So I think I've got an example here. Perfect. I do have an example of kind of my step-by-step instructions from the last slide. So I'm in ClientStack. I'm actually under TaxProMarketer's sub-account, right? I'm looking in opportunities here. If I click Noah, tell me, I'm not sure what it'll do. Oh, look at that. It went backwards. I was hoping my click might just highlight, but that's okay. You can see obviously my arrow with opportunities. And then you see this black arrow up here, step 2 for selecting a pipeline. You can build different pipelines for different things. And let me just name that some of our customers don't use these pipelines or opportunities for exclusively sales purposes. Some of them use them for keeping up with payroll customers or bookkeeping customers or tax planning customers. You can certainly use this for leads management. And then, people that are closed, having that start a process, right, internally that gets them onboarded. You can do it for sales to customer process, but you can use this type of pipeline just to tranche or create clarity around different groupings or different customers that need something to happen. And one of the things that I don't have all the time today to get into, but we've got content on, we have team members who can walk you through this, is that your opportunities pipelines can be connected with automation. I don't have automation highlighted, but if you go on this left-hand menu and just go down to payments and marketing and automation is another part of the Swiss Army knife of ClientStack that you can build essentially automations that are connected to, let's say I'm looking at this opportunities pipeline right here. A lead got scheduled and I want to follow up with them. So I'm going to put them on the callback list, and then a follow-up got scheduled. Maybe they didn't show up to the appointment. Maybe they canceled before the appointment happened. Any of these columns, if someone lands there, either because you manually just drag and dropped them or because of some automation, you can build an automation for all of these columns. It's not that hard to do, but we're also here to help you with it all. You can see up here in the upper right-hand corner, learn about opportunities. Any page on ClientStack is going to have this green button in the top right-hand corner to learn about that specific section. There's also going to be at the top of this window, I don't think you can see it in my current screenshot, but there's going to be like a black and even blue question mark, 2 different resources where you can directly chat with people on our team to answer questions, get more in-depth how-tos. But what I'm trying to say here is that at a minimum, when you get a lead, they're going to land on an opportunity pipeline in ClientStack that we've already built out for you. But there's a lot of freedom and flexibility to make this more robust and customized. And the beginning of your sales process is working the pipeline. That's the thing I want you to take away from this section. Sales is a bunch of things, but it is certainly working the pipeline. And if you are not currently working a pipeline, a sheet of columns like this, kind of this Kanban style, where it's just the lead came in, I had my first call, I sent the follow-up email, you're just guessing based on what happened in your inbox and reminders or sticky notes or things that hit you in the middle of the night that you forgot about. Your sales system needs to be that at any given point, you can log into a system like this and know with confidence where people are at in your sales process. Noah, let me pause. What would you say about pipelines, about how we use this, how our customers could think about using this? Is there anything I missed?
So 1.0 of this pipeline is obviously what we provide and what we build out. That's why we do it. You get a lead from your website, you get a lead from your ads that you run with us, like they're going straight in here. And if you're not using this already, please make sure that this client stack is saved as a tab. And honestly, if you're anything like me, I always have about 30 different windows and tabs open. And some of this stuff I just always keep open. You want to keep this open. You want to have access to this, but have a call with us. Schedule a call with our account management team so that we can talk about some of the other ways to build this out, because Client Stack is all about systematizing and providing automation to your business. How can we make things easier for you that are day-to-day mundane tasks that can very easily be automated? How can we automate your onboarding sequence? Can we create steps that if you are doing bookkeeping that you want to have different sections that they can go into, or if you're providing tax resolution services, that maybe there's different steps in the sequence of solving that problem for them, where you can move along, and it gives a really nice visual and it gives a really nice picture of where those different clients are in that journey. So please get on a call with us if you're not utilizing this. This is part of our services. Client Stack, there's Philips, or logistically, there's a lot that it can do.
Yes.
Philosophically, we want to know, what do you need it to do?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
odds are pretty high it can do that.
Yes. That's a great way to say it. The odds are high. Client Stack is dynamic enough to do anything you throw at us. But
Yeah.
let's, again, just like the sales philosophy, let me leave this open trail, knock on the door with us, and come and talk about how we can help you further personalize, build out, establish Client Stack. But what Noah said, I want to highlight: bookmark Client Stack, check your opportunities regularly. You do get emailed anytime a lead comes through. You also get emailed, but you want to then move them through this process of they got scheduled and they close, or they're a follow-up or whatever, right? So let's talk about that more for you individually as time allows. Okay, get them scheduled. This is one thing that there's a little bit of nuance on. I would encourage almost everyone to schedule their leads, which is to say they're on your site, they filled out the pre-qualification form. They're on your ads, they filled out the pre-qualification form, or the kind of contact form. Let's get your name, your email, your phone number, and let's get you booked. Some people don't like to schedule their leads. They want to, vet them as the pre-qualification form came through, and then make a decision on if they call them back directly. That's fine. If you don't want people to get scheduled with you directly, that's okay. But for most of you, now we're talking about calendar management. And this seems obvious, but if I were to show you all of our calendar management, it looks elegant, but it's sophisticated. And a lot of things that are complex, but then elegant, there's a lot of back-end stuff that makes that happen. You might want to use Calendly. That's a popular calendaring, scheduling software. You might want to use, oh gosh, Acuity is another one. You might want to use whatever. There's third-party apps. But a part of Client Stack's value add to you and your sales process and your company is that it consolidates dozens of softwares that you could cobble together in a different way and make them kind of work together. So let's say your CRM is, I don't know, Atom, ATOM, or Drake, or whatever it is, right? That's your CRM. But then you use Calendly for scheduling, or Acuity. And then for texting, you use either, again, Drake or Textalent or something like that, right? The idea of Client Stack is that it consolidates so many different softwares into one platform, and so they sync really well together. Client Stack has a scheduling function. I don't think I have a slide sharing that with you, but let me just point out where it is. You see calendars right above opportunities, just two little spots up on this menu on the left-hand side. That's where you can build out your calendars. But then your calendar management is trying to build, here's where I'm available, here's where I'm going to be blocked, and then here's the different types of appointments I can have. Maybe internal clients is an appointment that you've got. Discovery calls with leads is another. Maybe you have a certain appointment or calendar event for clients that need extra help or are bookkeeping or payroll. You can build out as many different variants or types of events in Client Stack for your own scheduling purposes. And like I mentioned with automation, you could then say, let's just go back to this as an example. Let's say I take this test lead that's scheduled. And again, I'm looking at a screenshot. This isn't a dynamic environment, but you can drag and drop these cards through your pipeline. Let's say I dragged this card from they scheduled a consultation to I want them on my callback list. Well, maybe that automation, as I drag them from one column to the next, is let's send them an email and tag them to get a text as well to use my appointment for follow-up call. And then your email and text will be pre-built to just send out your link for a follow-up call. And that's again onto getting them scheduled. So it's both the initial consultation, but tell me if I'm wrong on this. I know this is rhetorical because we're on a webinar, so you can't actually tell me if I'm wrong on this, but just think to yourself. A lot of customers don't close on the first call. So this kind of blends psychology with tactics. If you don't have a multi-step sales process for initial call to proposal to then follow-up call that gets scheduled, that's a part of what ClientStack can very, very, very easily do for you. It's building a follow-up call event. It's moving someone from one column of first call to second call, and emails and texts can be triggered through automation. And now they've got that text and email. Hey, love talking with you. Thanks for that discovery call. I'm going to get you a proposal. But in the meantime, would you pick out a time that works for our next meeting? Or maybe it's once you've drafted the proposal and you've sent it to them, you can then send this as a follow-up. Noah, any thoughts on calendaring, scheduling, things I'm missing?
Have a next direct step. So many calls are missed, so many prospects are missed, so many leads are missed. Number one, because you don't have a low friction way for them to get scheduled with you. It seems simple, but it's really a major problem. If you don't have a very obvious way for them to get on your calendar, you're going to be playing a cat and mouse game with them. And
Right,
it's aggravating to get into that cycle.
right.
I mean, to that point, let's say you have a first call. You get someone on, and we'll talk about discovery calls, and we'll talk about all that stuff in just a minute here. But you get them on a call, and you do some pre-qualification. Wow, yeah, this sounds like a good, like someone they say, oh, well, I'm not ready to do this just yet. Let's talk in a couple of weeks. My initial response to that is, hey, I'm pretty busy, and I can't guarantee that if you're just going to call back in a couple of weeks that I'm going to be available. And I really don't want you to have to chase me down. I have my calendar right here. Let's go ahead and get a time booked.
Right.
So don't wait on that. Don't wait on that follow-up call. Don't ever wait and say, oh, yeah, no problem. I'll call you back in 2 weeks. You call them back in 2 weeks, you're going to be calling them back in 2 weeks and 2 days, and 2 weeks in 5 days, and 3 weeks and 4 weeks, and the lead's going to be gone.
Yeah,
You will have lost that opportunity.
yeah.
Decreased points of friction. Make
That's
it
really
as
well said.
easy as possible for them to schedule that initial call. And if you're scheduling a follow-up call, get it while you're still on the phone. Do not leave that call. If that call requires a second call to close, do not leave that call without having a confirmed schedule, next step, next date that you're going to talk.
I wonder why you're so adamantly stressing this, Noah. I wonder if you've
Hmm.
got some experience with trying
Hmm.
to hustle people on follow-ups. And I know you guys feel that, but being a digital marketing agency, we do this for you guys, and we also do this for ourselves. The beauty of the tools available to you now is that so many things that are stuck in your brain can live in a software, can live in automation, can live in a place where you just don't have to think as hard. And I've never done taxes for the general public, but I would imagine a big part of the frustration is just keeping things straight when you're in the middle of tax season or you're just busy with a bunch of clients for a deadline. And having softwares that automate parts of your brain that are currently manually doing things will give you more freedom, time, and just mental peace. And so that includes scheduling initial calls and follow-up calls. You got to answer this question. How do you currently get people scheduled on your calendar, and is it working, and maybe could it be better? Another thing talk with us more about. We want to open the door. You can walk through it further, and we can tell you how ClientStack can do this. We use Calendly and ClientStack depending on the environment. We've used both. I can tell you about both. Glad to speak to that at another time. Oh, hey, look at this. I missed that we had these notes. You can get them on your calendar via tagging and automation, follow-up reminders for events, links to events. ClientStack can do all of that when you have an event scheduled. It can send reminders and follow-ups and links for the appointment, linking to either Zoom or Google Meet or Microsoft Teams. You can embed all of that within ClientStack when a meeting gets generated. That's all possible. Okay. Sales call flow. We've got probably 15 minutes left, and then I'll do a little Q&A, and I'll pause the recording if anyone on the call wants to just jump into something specific. So if you're with us right now live and you want to do a little Q&A, we'll do that momentarily. But let's hit our last 2 points first. Sales call flow. Here's the process. I didn't see our team put these GIFs in. This is great. Let's talk about just a 30-minute or so call. What should your sequence flow be when you're actually on the call? The first is to be relational, to warm up the call. And this is where having a plan can really help you. You're going to go in, and unless they are all business and they don't want to waste time, you're trying to find a way to establish rapport, connection, be relational, be relatable. And that's 3 to 5 minutes, unless you're both from Minneapolis and did you see the Twins game last night? And my God, the Vikings suck. And, how are you doing? What part of town are you in? Okay, great, right? You're free to take this longer, but just in terms of flow and process, you want to have 3 to 5 minutes to say, you're not going straight to business. You're trying to establish connection, rapport, and then you move on to the next. Noah, do you want to add anything to that warm up kind of initial phase?
It's cheesy, but it is true. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And it's cheesy, and I fully recognize like how tacky that is. Like, but it's true. Like if you jump into a call and you're just like straight down to business, it's honestly it's a huge turnoff to people. It really is. Create some rapport.
Mhm.
Talk about things that are going on right now. I mean, this is whenever people are going to be viewing this again, but it's like there's things going on. If I were to talk, there was just a hurricane that hit Florida, trucking, but again, that's kind of an evergreen comment every fall. But that's if there was someone in the southeast part of America that I was talking to, those would be questions I would be asking in that first 5 minutes. Are you okay? Did that hit you? Were you affected by this? And you would have some of those, but make it personal. Develop some rapport with them.
Right. Get them to talk about themselves. You will have plenty of opportunities to talk about yourself in this call. Your first thing is to get them to talk about themselves. And then as you go from that relational connect to identifying their problem, you do want to structure your sales call with identifying pain and solving pain. So as we get into the actual tactics of what you're trying to figure out, that might be a great question to lead with. What's frustrating you right now about your taxes, about your bookkeeping, about your accounting? What's not working? What's working well and what's not working well? Because what you don't want to do by the end of the call is offer a solution that doesn't match what they're actually dealing with. You want to start to think in your mind, I'm going to go left and not right. I'm going to turn here at the end or there, because at the beginning you started to ask them, hey, what's going on in your world? I see that you reached out about bookkeeping or tax resolution, or you're interested in tax planning, or you need a new tax preparer. Tell me what's happened here for you. What's been going well in this area? What's the problem? What's the biggest thing? Even the question of, hey, if I could wave a magic wand over one part of your business or one part of your tax situation and just fix it for you, what would that be? And you just give them freedom to say like, oh, thank you for asking. Like, yeah, it's all this stuff. And you can start to decide very early on whether this is a call that's worth your time. That's one of the tactics here. Instead of just stacking your calendar with 30-minute to hour-long phone calls that you've got to get to the very end of before you figure out that it's not a good fit, figure that out in the first 10 minutes. You should know in the first 10 minutes if this is a call that you should keep doing. And if not, you could say, hey, Thanks, John. I appreciate you telling me what your main problem is. I'm just going to stop you right there and tell you that actually what you need is something I don't do. That's just not me. I've got actually a referral, someone that does that, or I would encourage you to go look for someone else that kind of has this service type. But here's what I focus on. I don't think I'd be able to serve you well. And I just want to respect your time. I just want to use your time well. This isn't a conversation that I'll actually be able to help you with. I can either send you a separate provider, a referral, encourage you in a different direction. You can still add value to the conversation by closing the door. Closing a door for a lead that's not a good fit for you is still a value add for them because you are refining what they need. And you can do it in a kind and gentle way, a professional way, or you're now verified that this is a good lead. And now we're moving to the next step. So identifying their problem is also to save you time, in addition to trying to figure out if they are a good lead, where you're going to land the plane at the end. Noah, anything else you'd add to this?
Yeah, just make sure you're finding what those, pain points are. Because again, that's anyone listening to this call now or in the future, that's anyone in the tax industry, that's what you do. If you really were to get after it, you're not in the business to do taxes. You're in the business of solving problems. You're in the business of providing peace to people who don't know how to do that stuff, people who got a letter from the IRS. Like you're in the business of helping figure that out for them, helping to bring them peace. Like that's really what it is. Do you want me to go into this, Christian, or you want to?
This one's you. Yeah, take this one.
So from there, then what do? Okay, so we identify, great, this person has a problem. Congratulations, you are problematic. Okay, well, great. Now we need to go somewhere from there. But now they're expecting you to say, okay, how do we solve this problem? Because that's really the point. That's really the turning point that's going to get someone to become a client. Because there are other people, I hate to break this to everyone, there are other companies that do your exact same services and provide the exact same things that you provide. And part of ranking, part of digital reputation, part of sales is saying, this is why I should be doing this for you. So show them. Don't just start rattling off a bunch of statistics and data and all that. Show them what you're going to do. How is what you're going to do going to take the pain away? If they have if they have a business and they have been doing their bookkeeping by themselves, well, the pain point actually isn't their bookkeeping. Their problem is probably their time. And that they have higher value things that they can do with their time, and you can give that time back to them.
Yep.
You can take that pain point away. It's not about, well, hey, when I do bookkeeping, I'm going to use QuickBooks and this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to input that. I'm sorry, they don't care about that. They care about how is their pain going to be alleviated? What are the advantages of doing this with you? Why are you going to be the one? Well, maybe you provide monthly services. Maybe you're doing check-ins. Maybe it's automated for them. Maybe there's an online port. Like those are good things they want to know. But at the end of the day, they really just want to get away from having to do that thing. And that's where you can get into the consequence phase of all of this. Because here's the other side of things. If they say, well, I don't know if I want to do that. Well, you say, well, client, that's okay. Prospect, that's okay. You could keep doing this yourself. How many hours a week did you say you spent doing the books for your company? How many hours a week does it take you to do payroll for all your clients? Or sorry, for all your employees? Interesting. So what if you don't make a change with this? What if you just keep doing the bookkeeping? What if you just keep doing the pay? What's that going to affect if you don't get that time back? So see, now there's actually an emotional connection to this. Now there's actually a consequence that they start feeling the weight of this thing. Hey, oh, so tell me more. You got a letter from the IRS. Gosh, that's not fun. That's probably a little bit stressful, I would imagine. Is that causing stress? Oh my gosh, yes, the stress. It's bleeding in my relationship with my spouse and blah, blah, blah. And it's weighing on me. I'm staying awake at night. Oh man. Okay, so what if you don't do anything about this? What if you don't get in touch with the IRS? I don't know. I also got a letter saying that they're threatening to levy my bank account and this thing, this, that, or the other thing. And okay, do you do you know how to get on the phone with the IRS? And is that something you're comfortable with doing that? And see, so you can start walking through this path with them and through this journey of how can you alleviate that pain? But on the other side, what if they don't start working with you? What if they don't alleviate this pain? Well, there's some pretty serious consequences on all of that stuff as well. And that's where,
Mm.
again, I mean, are there, if you're doing tax resolution representation, are there lots of nuts and bolt things that you're going to have to do? Maybe you have to go into arbitration and all that stuff. Yes, but at the end of the day, they don't really care about that stuff. They care about, is their pain going away?
Right. Well said. Right. Well said. And this is where I think, no, I want to kick you up for this as well. You now turn your attention to a presentation of a service package, a program, call it what you will, package or program. What we're kind of hitting at here is that I would not recommend to most people to have a la carte services. I would have programs. Now, tax preparation aside, maybe tax resolution, although tax resolution and tax preparation can both be programmatized. You can try and bake in tax planning, you can bake in other things, right? But I would tend to try and position your services as packages or programs, generally speaking. You're productizing your services and saying, here's the program or the package I put together that makes sense for you. What you can do is use the first part we've talked about up to now as call one with someone on your team that's like prospecting the leads, getting the general info, doing call one, and then teeing up call two for you to present that package. So they leave call one scheduled with you for call two, where you are now going to come in and say, hey, I got the notes from our team member, my colleague, whomever talked with them. And now we're off to, I've already got you scheduled. I'm leaving a little bit of tension. I've got the notes and I can actually kind of build that package and add that program for them. If you need space between discovery call and then actual presentation, you can do it as a two-step, two-call close. But if you're doing this on the call here, you can do that as well. No, I just wanted to mention the options that we've seen work well of one or two-step calls for closing. But why don't you talk more about this as well, and then we'll move to the final slides here.
Yeah, and I could talk a lot about the psychology behind one call close versus two call closes. I think a lot of it depends on the services that you're providing. Some B2C type services, a lot of those can be one call closes. It's, here's the service, here's what the cost is, here's maybe a few different levels of packages and close. B2B selling is a little more complex. It takes it's more nuanced for sure. If you are working with companies where you're coming in and doing advisory and bookkeeping and payroll, there may be multiple people that need to be on the call. Maybe your initial call is with someone in management of the company, but really they might not be the decision maker. I can't go down that whole route right now, but that would be another thing in discovery, is having a conversation saying like, is this person actually the decision maker? Are they the ones who can actually move this thing forward? And they might not be. They might have a board. They might have, maybe they're someone who works at the company, but the CEO, the director, the whatever, maybe we need to say, hey, we could be a good fit. Let's schedule another call. But when you go into it with very clear products, and I will drop the seed of pricing your value and pricing your worth. I'm not going to go down that trail. That's a whole nother conversation, but price your value and price what you're worth. Because if you undervalue yourself, you could be leaving a lot on the table. But when you have product or package A and package B, and here's why I advise doing this one opposed to this one,
Right.
you are now the trusted advisor. You've already spent the time building the relationship. Now you're to the part where you're saying, okay, let's take the next step. Does this sound like it could be the right fit for you? Does it sound like this could be the right next step to really get XYZ problem solved? And then we start moving into, how do we close them? How do we
Yeah.
get them to take this next step?
Well said. Okay. Closing tactics. Noah, you kind of just talked about those. Closing on the
I did
spot
a
or
little bit.
following up. So here is again kind of a decision tree that you want to have in place, getting people to commit, not asking them, but giving yes and yes options, where you have two packages. Which one makes sense for you? Which one would you like to move with? Are you ready to sign? Here's how we walk through our onboarding. I even at times, it's just going straight to, here's how you get started with us. I'm going to send you this proposal and an agreement with a link. You'll click here, here, and here, and then you'll be with our onboarding guide. Well, here's some things, and give them an incentive, right? We give our customers incentives if they sign up in a time period. I think that that's one thing I would really want to name for this part of the process, is creating scarcity around timing, that a deal will end, a bonus will end, something will be given if they sign up within a certain amount of time, something that's reasonable, especially B2B. Doesn't need to be right now, but just like, hey, I'm going to send you, I don't know, gift bag, customer care package, a discount, something if you sign up within a certain period of time. I think what I'm trying to say is make an offer, making an offer that has time sensitivity to it. If you're a lead talking with a CPA for 30 minutes to an hour, having an offer and a deadline, that will stick with you. Almost everything else might be forgotten. A feeling will be remembered, and an offer with time sensitivity will be remembered by their brain. They will hold on to that. If you give them something that their brain can hold on to and keep them up at night, oh my God, I've got till Monday to sign up with this guy and lock in my 10% discount or my, extra sessions that I'm going to get to work on this part of the business, right? I'm going to throw in some free advisory tax planning stuff and just speak to this for one session and value add. You're trying to add value. So I'd let you guys kind of play with that, because obviously it's just varied, but having an offer, closing at the end of the call or having a plan for the follow-up, and then making some time sensitive kind of delineation for them that this will expire, I think will really increase your follow-up show-up rate and your closing rate. Okay, it's all in the follow-up. What's your follow-up process for closing leads? Go back to ClientStack. Have a proposal software like ClientStack can build proposals, but there's also PandaDoc, there's Anchor. Anchor is a great one that's got some tax and accounting specific stuff. Ignition is a great one. Obviously, there's other ways to do proposals, but having a proposal that gets sent out that then sends reminders or notifies you, following up is huge. Following up is huge. I hope that we've at least opened the door of a deeper conversation on any of this. And if there's anything here that you want to grab onto more, please let us know, and we'd be glad to dig into the weeds more. And with that, we'll catch you next time.